Thank you guys for joining. Like I said, we're going to be talking to the brain behind Versus Africa, this intelligent tool that we're also proud of. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very proud of Versus. I'm very happy that this sort of tool is made by Africans and for Africa. So today we're going to be talking to Mr. Kemdi Ebi, who is the brain behind the products. He's the co-founder of Versus Africa. Kemdi, so I'm going to leave it there so that you can tell us more about yourself. You know, when I saw you and we spoke, right, I was so engrossed in Versus that I forgot to ask you where you were from. I really don't know where you are from. Did you get that?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Linda. I lost you for a second. What did you say? Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, I said when we met, right? I was so engrossed about Versus. I was so engrossed in Versus. I forgot to ask you where you were from. So now I'm kind of confused because your name Kemdi, I can't place it. You know, I'm bad with languages, but I can't place it. So can you just tell us just a little bit about yourself before we delve into the matter of the day?
On our end. Okay. Let me. Do you want to connect to mine?
Hi guys. Okay, so I think Kemdi is having a little bit of problem with his internet. I'm sure he'll be back soon. But I hope you guys can join us. You can hear us though. Kemdi, are you back? Hello? Kemdi, if you can hear me, please just let me know. Let me know. Okay, great, great, great. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Okay, so I'm sure Kemdi is going to come back, so we can just start gisting before then. I don't know if you guys know this product called Versus Africa. It's a marketing tool, and they do research. So right now, they solved the problem of data mining in Africa. And you know, data is very important. There is no way you want to start a business or you want to start a campaign or you want to even launch a product that you don't need data. You need to first of all do research. And that's why some of us don't have some of us have problems with our campaigns, our products and all that. It's because we don't do adequate research. And it's not our fault sometimes. It's because the tool for doing adequate research is not readily available. But thanks to Versus, we now have that, okay? So that's one of the things we are going to be talking about today. How can Versus help you, either as a creative or a brand or a company, or even as your personal brand? How can Versus help you to win in the African market? That is what we are going to talk about today. All right, so please, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment below and we will definitely answer everything. I think Kemdi is back. Hi, Kemdi. Can you hear me? Kemdi, can you hear me? I can't hear you. What's going on? Can you hear me though?
Hi, okay.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now.
All right.
Great.
Let's just go. We'll go with this so that we don't have any further, because I was actually trying to connect my Bluetooth. Everything infrastructurally in this country always has epileptic issues. So that's one thing we need to fix. So anybody in this Instagram live who has the solutions, please fix it for us.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I apologize. Okay. I apologize. I just had some internet interruptions, but I should be fine now.
Okay, I think they can hear you now. They can hear you now.
Okay.
Great.
So sorry, you were asking that.
Yes, I said quickly tell us about yourself. I'm interested to know where you're from. You know, just a little bit, okay? So you have the floor now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to say hello and thank you all for joining. And Linda, thank you so much for giving us this audience to talk to everyone about what we do. My name is Kemdi Ebi. I'm a proud African, born to a Nigerian family, and I'll keep it there because I represent Africa, Nigeria. I am not any particular tribe because I love everybody. I love every
Come
part of the
on.
continent. I literally am like, I'm such a global citizen. I'm Pan-African citizen. I hate to say it, but you know, I really just love learning things. And obviously there's no mistake why I'm doing what I'm doing and why we accepted what we did, because in the process of actually being a human being, I started learning so many new things, you know, different from meeting different people from different cultural backgrounds, different parts of the world. You know, I actually grew up in Nigeria and the US as well. And I had the privilege, even at an early age in my formative years, to actually be around a lot of multicultural people from different backgrounds. So I think just as in my pure form, I've always been so fascinated by just the fact that people are so different. So me wanting to even help people understand and be able to connect at that level on aggregate, to have to just be more cautious of knowing people better. It's no mistake, that's my passion. So yeah, that's who I am. I'm Kemdi Ebi. I am your friend. I'm an African. I'm a Nigerian. I shuttled between Lagos to, you know, most recently going to Ghana and Kenya, and I'm hoping to go back again to South Africa and Zambia and all the countries that I can visit across Africa. And you know, yeah, so that's me. I mean, and I love traveling, so that's another thing. So yeah, I hope that helps. I'm not giving up my other details until I meet people one-on-one.
Okay, so but it's a good thing you can give us all the details about Versus, Abi. At least Versus, we can know about it in total. Yes.
Of course.
All right, so let's delve into it. I've already told the audience before you came in that it's a beautiful, intelligent tool that they can use in mining data from anywhere in Africa. But I also want to hear it in your word. In one sentence, how would you describe Versus? And then I would like you to quickly go into what inspired you to found or to make this tool. Yeah.
Somebody said I'm ECOWAS, basically. Yes, ECOWAS, United Nations, every level. No, but so I guess in a sentence, what we're really solving for is the lack of quality data on the African consumer. Why we actually created this tool is because there was a clear problem to be solved. At the core, the founding team are product makers. From myself to my co-founder and my other founding members. We pride ourselves in helping companies, and we had all had collective experience in helping companies build what we felt were tailored solutions for a very complex African market. So when we decided to, I was inspired to build Versus when I first came across the massive problem, which was the fact that African data was somewhat, you know, homogeneous in the way it was being portrayed. So I was seeing a lot of instances where there'll be one region where African data is taken and it will just be placed on another region. And clearly there was no real hyperlocal touch. So we saw that problem set and we said, look, let's try and solve it. From my own personal experience, I was way back when I was doing a voters education campaign, and I was in a PR software company, and I was actually doing some monitoring, and that's when I even saw that a lot of conversations everyday Africans have are not your plain English. They're also speaking a lot of colloquial. They're speaking in, you know, a lot of, they're also using sarcasm. And those things need to be also, you know, obviously noticed and recognized. And the Western tools I was using were very misaligned and weren't really giving much. So at that point, it was another light bulb effect to look into that, and also look into the unconventional structure of African markets, mostly offline. So how best do we get data from there? Surveying. And if we can do it fast, real time, great. So we then said, how do you build a technology tool that goes about the human approach of getting to know somebody better, listen and ask? So we built it on that, from that perspective. Very simple. We didn't try to make it too complex. And obviously the premise of even our whole product development was make it as simple as possible. So even a 3-year-old could possibly use it. But obviously we know that that's a bit more, that's obviously far-fetched. But the idea is that the intuitive nature of the tool would be easy for even small, medium companies to even potentially get access to this, because part of our goal is to even democratize, data insights so that people can actually do business better. Where the more we get into this global, stage of where things are and the uncertainties, and knowing that Africa is already 1.2 billion people large, so many cultures, complexities, Western tools were not really as let's just say invested in getting deeper, which is, obviously where there was an opening for, okay, African makers who can actually do it and can potentially give this hyper local research, then why not go in there? So our goal was not to necessarily take away the global players, because I think they've done what they've done well. We've had the privilege of meeting most of the big, ResTech, MarTech brands, just by virtue of us being around. And I think where our position is in the market is really just to help hyper local African research. So as we scale, to enter, markets such as key markets like, we're obviously in Nigeria and Kenya, we want to open up in South Africa, Ethiopia, even possibly, because that's a very interesting market that has many opportunities. But, again, just bringing the barrier down to help people even, have opportunities there. So it's a very lofty goal we have. I mean, what's the point of doing this if it wasn't ambitious enough? So we're having fun and learning in the process, but applying what we really know while we really just try to help brands, and also even the everyday African consumer, because a lot of what we do also benefits them, and I can get into that maybe, so I don't give you too much of a long-winded answer.
Okay, so if I get you correctly, yes, there were tools like Versus in the market before you launched, but there was none from Africa by Africans. And one of the reasons why you thought there was a need for Versus is because the one from the foreign guys or the global research tools were not deep enough, right? And there was problem with interpreting local data, right? So that's the main issue. Yeah. So the main issue is, yes, hyperlocal. Yeah. So that's nice. So my next question to you is this. I know it's with Versus, it's easy to get data now. It's easy to mine data. We're going to go into details later of how to mine data from Versus. But what I want to know is there anything Versus is doing to help people interpret this data? Because Kemdi, getting the data is one thing. Drawing insights from those data is another thing altogether. Right? And people that are going to be using your tools are not just professionals, right? They're not just marketing professionals. Anybody can decide to use Versus. So what are you doing to ensure that, okay, proper insights are also gotten from the data you present to your clients? Is there any service you offer for that?
Yes. Yeah. Great question. So number one, I mentioned the intuitiveness that we try to optimize for with the product. Now, it's very safe to say that on different levels, people are going to either have some experience understanding how to use research technology tools or marketing technology tools. Some don't. Then you have the other extreme, where it's enterprise companies that already have an idea, they are very well versed, and it's just for them to now get that additional sort of help with reporting. Now, it differs across those different, obviously those different levels. On the lower tier, what we're trying to do is we've seen now that there's a lot of smaller mid-sized companies looking for this information, and they're the ones that are most times wanting additional, like access to the insights. How we've built the tool is also very user-friendly in the sense that you can actually filter down to actually really get certain information depending on the part of the tool you're using, whether it's listen or ask. And the idea is that once you've, for instance, sent out a survey and you said, I want 200, 500, 1,000 respondents across Nigeria, answer questions. They're answering those questions, you're receiving it real time, and then you can start to now filter the responses to see, based on certain demographic information, how they actually, have responded, which gives you that level of insight already, right? Now, if you want to interpret it further, right, depending on what you're looking for, the first thing I always know when I listen to, when we do our consultation services, even as we talk to whether small or large companies, what's your hypothesis? What are you trying to even like figure out first? Have you established that? If you have, my inkling is that you understand what you're trying to do, right? But if they don't understand, that's where we try to come in and say, develop your hypothesis. That will help you design your questionnaire. If you're using a survey to ask questions, if you have a campaign running on the social analytics side, that's easier to now just put in the keywords. And we usually use Twitter mostly because of the conversation model and how socially you can track trends and what people are talking about your campaigns and sentiment. Now, this is key about the sentiment analysis we do, which is very different from what Western tools do. We actually trace and track and translate sentiment based on local language. No Western tool offers that right now, meaning that we are actively training our model to understand Pidgin, Yoruba, colloquial language, sarcasms, even Swahili and Sheng, right? And as we learn more about how we're seeing conversations on the online side, we're obviously adding those languages to our sentiment engine so that people understand what they're seeing when they see sentiment go up in terms of positive or down, or up in terms of negative or down, right? So it now becomes more, and they can track critical mentions that say things like, now wow, this kind love, now wow. So the Western tool might think love is obviously positive when now wow is actually the sarcasm to be like, it's not that great, right? So little things like that is what we're trying to do, because again, we've seen and thankfully tested in the market that a lot of companies, local and global, need this, right? Because they're doing campaigns and thinking that they're doing great. Meanwhile, there's so many of these nuances that they're missing, and then So, anyways, I think all this to say is that we've tried to design the tool as best we can, while we still get feedback, of course, to make it simple in ways that people can draw quick insights. But obviously, we still offer consultative services, and we're very, very open to even lower tier companies who want to help, who need that help using our tool and understanding what they are getting from the insights they're obviously drawing, so that they're also equipped to what they need to learn. But scaling that part of the service for the smaller mid-sized companies, where we're trying to find a very good balance, because that's enterprise level where they get the full consultative access. But thankfully, the tool does enough to get people by to say, okay, so now I know that, for instance, if I ask a question to some respondents to say, I want to know how much do you consume, what food do you consume the most every month, right? I can now see the answers as it comes on. Is it rice? Is it bread? Is it sugar and spices? Is it beans? Gari? What is it? Once I get the responses, I can easily get insights to say, oh wow, men think it's rice, women think it's eggs. Oh, men who are fully employed are buying mostly Gary. So it's like you can see all those things easily and start to make a little bit more sense of things. And that's the clarity that is missing, even at that minimum. So what we want to do is that we can also offer that, additionally if people want it, but at the cost. But the idea is that they still get it.
Okay. Kemdi, I think it's clear now, but I also need you, we've mentioned it before, but I need to break it down more, right? Now, who should use Versus? I want to know who, yes, let us know the kinds of people, because there are some people that might be listening and they might not know that they need the product. You need it too. Yes, and whether you like it or not, we're still growing in this market. We're still trying to understand the need for insights, whether we like to agree or not. A lot of people do campaigns before they do their campaigns, they probably just ask their brothers and their sisters, what do you think about this? And they'll be like, oh, that's what everybody thinks. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I know you guys have a lot of work to do in terms of sensitizing people or educating people. Let me say educating people on the need for insights, and I hope you have that sorted, because you have a lot of work to do in that side. But for now, I just need you to
that's why we have people like you to help amplify what we do. And thank you so much, because this is the kind of audience we require to at least elucidate why it's important to not just draw opinion without testing. And obviously, there are lack of tools that are even, trying to bring the barrier down for access for people to actually start to see that it's possible. So I think it's also the fact that the market hasn't really had something as hyperlocal yet. And we've also naturally, sacrificed a lot to be this island in the midst of the tech, ecosystem, where we're trying to now provide a, hyperlocal technology, tool to help people see this better. So I think to answer your question about who needs it. So I'll go based on the data, because what we did, like a good doctor's office, we did not, we just said we have a medicine to cure a disease. So if you have this disease, come, we have it. We didn't advertise, we didn't try to go out there and start pasting that we have the best tool. No, we went through the natural process of saying, if you need a cure, here it is. So that's how we established what you call product market fit, right? And we established that, and we saw that we were actually very industry agnostic. So it wasn't just the banking industry, it wasn't just telco, and it wasn't just small, medium-sized, high-growth companies. It was everybody. Even as recent as today, a regulator has now said to us, we need access to actually be able to even figure out what is going on in this very time of uncertainty, when cryptocurrency has now killed, markets. Even the traditional markets are not, responding. What are we doing? What are customers or even the everyday guy thinking? So we're seeing that it's actually an industry agnostic solution. And the people who are now understanding the importance of doing proper market research to not only test your hypothesis, meaning, what is this educated guess? You came up this morning and said that if we're going to do an event, to get people activations, Burna Boy must be our concert lead. Why? Did you test it? Did you know that that's going to actually provide the ROI you want? That's the kind of stuff we do, right? We'll actually put you on the spot and say, okay, fine, no problem. Like, we're not going to say it's right or wrong because we don't know yet. So it's about your audience and what you're trying to achieve with your marketing or your, your push, so that whatever money you're spending, especially now in this downturn, you actually can literally now say with confidence, beat your chest and say, yes, I can spend it because I've done my research. So even just that knowledge of knowing that you shouldn't just go with what your boss has mandated. You can actually tell your boss now, or even anybody else who's claiming they have a strong opinion, that I will test it using best practice and do the needful. I hope you can still hear me. Yes, we can. I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, so there was a comment on the screen that made me laugh. She said, "Please speak more English."
I saw. In fact, let me make a caveat now. And caveat means, let me just put a disclaimer. If you need me to tone it down, I'm ready. It's not. I don't want to make it complex. The idea is this: it's always best to test your ideas using data first. Don't spend money unwisely. That's just the point. So the tool we have makes it easy for you to now say, I've seen where my market is, I know who they are. Now you go back and tell your marketing campaign manager or whoever is holding the money to, to promote your brand, whatever it might be, we can help you properly spend that, as if you're a company or you're an entrepreneur, in any facet. So it's just really making it easier for you to be smarter in your business dealings and decision making. That's the very simple thing. So I beg you, no vex. Anybody there who will say that, I can also break it down in pidgin English and all of that if you want me to. No worries.
Are you sure you can speak pidgin?
I'm flexible. Yes, of course now. Did you see? I'm ECOWAS. I'm United Nations. I can switch anytime. That's what we're here for.
Okay, guys, so basically, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, and Kemdi will be very glad to answer them. And if you need him to tone it down, also please let us know, and he will tone it down. We'll speak pidgin. Yeah. So far, we've been able to establish that. So far, we've been able to establish that.
It's them I'm looking at now. I'm going to make sure I give them
Yes, please
exactly
do.
what they want.
All right, so basically we've been able to establish that Versus is hyper-local market tool, which is different from every other tool in the market, even though they are global, because with Versus you get deep-rooted insights. Versus is intelligent enough to be able to understand our languages, our nuances and sensibilities, right? So if you're speaking in Pidgin, Versus understands. If you're speaking in Yoruba, or you're speaking in any other African tribe, Versus can understand and interpret for you, and that's something you cannot get from your other global platform. So this one is better for Nigerians if you need deep-rooted local insights. And according to what Kemdi said, you can use it no matter who you are. So if you're an entrepreneur, you need Versus because you need insights, you need data to be able to run your business. So it's not for marketing people alone. It's not for advertisers alone. No. No, it's not. So even if you're just starting out or you want to launch a product, you want to launch a brand, you need insights. So Kemdi, please give us some examples. So I need you to give me an example of what, for example, an entrepreneur can use Versus for, because like I said, we still need to educate people on the need for these insights because some don't get it. So it's pretty clear for advertising and marketing what we need it for.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can actually,
so let's just talk about entrepreneurs.
Just like not too long ago, we had a person who came to us, said they want to start. This is as simple as it gets, a groundnut business. They just want to sell groundnut. They want to sell groundnut, they want to package it, they want to have it in supermarkets. Who is your audience? Who are you selling to? What's your strategy? Obviously, when you're looking at it, you just, anyone starting anything, you don't really have much, you don't have any data in front of you. You're just, sometimes you're just praying to God and saying, God, Baba me, help me, whatever happens, it's your goal. But thankfully now we're giving some level of direction where people can actually have some data to guide what will now be their entry strategy, right? Yes. So this is even at the very simple level. And what we did for that particular brand was say, okay, you know what, let's even look at your, who's your audience? Let's present a questionnaire. And that questionnaire goes by, asking people a simple question like, if we, you have a kiosk comes to to you, presents you option for plantain chips, peanuts, potato chips and whatever, right? Answer that question. You're sending it to 200, 300 people, even just to get an idea of what people are saying. You can filter that and now know who chose peanuts more. And then now you already know, you can know their age bracket, you can know their income bracket, you can know all those things. That starts to give you a better sense of who to now target. That's very simple. For Meg, what's that company? Meg Digital. I want to make sure that I keep it simple for them. They will use Versus today.
MD.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Is it better now?
Yes, it's very much better.
I hope you can hear me. I am so sorry. This is crazy. I just wanted to switch on internet and just went crazy. Somebody was saying I need to do a review of Niger internet. Yes, I think I have to do that.
Yeah, it's much needed. Interestingly, we did one of our very popular survey results we got when we polled over 1,000 Nigerians about their favorite internet. It was actually quite interesting what the findings were. So
please tell.
We can get more on that to know what people should be using more.
More, right? I would definitely look into that because I really need to know the best internet to use. It's crazy. Nothing works. I am so frustrated. Anyway, let's keep going.
Not that I'm endorsing anybody, but MTN won the popularity.
Oh, really?
In terms of internet, yes. So that's the kind of information that can be helpful to then test it yourself and say, is it true? But they're just that it's costly. That's what people concluded. So,
okay. Yeah. You see, so with Versus Africa, we've been able to establish which network majority of people in Nigeria think is the best? And from the results, MTN, right? Great.
Yes.
Right, so
However,
Kemdi, where did we end?
they said
However,
it was expensive. So
okay, it's important to add that.
so if MTN is anywhere, they can hopefully just look at reviewing the cost. They're making a lot of money, so they can always try to share the so it doesn't affect everyday users. Yeah, anyways, but
I guess. Okay. Well, if you're just joining us, we are speaking to Mr. Kemdi Ebi of Versus Africa, an intelligent hyper-local marketing tool that is very, very relevant and needed in Africa right now. We've established some of the reasons why. So if you're just joining us, don't worry. I'm going to post the earlier part of this video so that you can see some of the reasons why Versus is important, why it's different from other global brands, and why you should use it. So we're going to move on now to the next part of the question, which is, Kemdi, like I said, let's now break it down for people. Now, how does Versus work? I know there is Versus Ask, and I know that there is Versus Listen, right? So can you just quickly, before we start taking questions, just tell us how Versus Ask and how Versus Listen works?
okay, so again, what we try to do was say, if we're to build a technology where you want to know somebody better, when you're trying to learn or you meet somebody new, you want to listen and ask, that's the way you get to understand them better. So we said, let's basically build a tool that does that as well and get the necessary data that people can now interpret. So listen, if people who have any idea of social analytic tools that essentially go through social media and online news, right?
Yeah.
They listen in on what might be, relevant conversations that match their keywords, meaning their brand name or trends they are trying to follow. So our tool literally lets you put in your brand name, wherever your brand name is mentioned in social media or Nairaland or anywhere, we can actually help you get that information. You know what people are saying, you can follow trends and things. And you have now a hyper-local way of translating even the associated sentiment on how your brand is portrayed online. That's the listen part. The ask part is an agile way, agile meaning very sort of easy and fast and effective way of getting survey questions designed and sent to target respondents.
Let me remind you, the grammar, tone it down. Somebody said you should tone it down, so I just wanted to remind you.
I don't know which part of it that is now because okay, so asking is not just asking questions via survey, right? Surveys, people know, people survey, they use Google Form to ask questions. Would you use my product, this and that? But this is a more extensive survey you can do now, right? Where you can ask people directly, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You can get, unbiased, feedback from them, which you can then use to then make your decision. So the listen and ask approach is literally the same way when you meet somebody newly. You go to an event, you're trying to meet somebody and understand what would, align you people to do business together or sell them a product that you have or a service. You listen and ask. It's that same approach that we've now built in a technological way so that it then just gives you the solution for understanding, basically making business decisions rather. So yeah.
Okay.
I usually this is the part where I usually just show and tell, because show and tells are very great, and I think this is a great. I'll ask Meg Digital. I will give you a personal book a demo. If you book a demo, you will see it, and it makes all the sense in the world when you see it.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. Like,
easy.
That's what I wanted to say. Using Versus is basically like using a website or using your phone. It's technology, so it's easy. Once you get on the website, it just tells you what to do, what to click, what to do. So it's very, very, very easy. Before now, in the old days, Yeah, in the old days, when people want to get local insights, what they do is that they do what they call, what's that thing called? They called again, where they gather people together. Research companies do that. They gather people together
Focus
and
groups.
then focus groups. Thank you. They do focus groups. They get people within their target market. They gather them together in a room, maybe give them breakfast or lunch, and then start asking them questions. And most of the time they do 30, 40, 100 people, right? So that's what they do in the old days. So, but now with Versus, you can do that online without getting
Yes.
to meet. So it's easier, it's faster, and you
Exactly.
can easily get everybody within your target market on the Versus platform. Which now brings
Exactly.
me, yes, which now brings me to the next question, Kemdi. Your Versus scouts, right? For example, the example that I gave now, some of them might say, okay, you know what? Sometimes my target market is above 50 or above 60, right? Are you sure that it's not only digital savvy people that are on Versus? Are you sure
Yeah.
all the target groups, of the different brands are represented in the Versus Scouts? By the way, Versus Scouts are the people who answer questions on Versus. So they are random people from all over Africa. So I want Kemdi to explain to us how Versus Scouts work, how they answer your questions, and if they meet the criteria of being fitting into the target groups of different brands we have in Nigeria and Africa in general. Yeah, Kemdi.
Yes. Thank you, Linda. So I'm really going to try as much as possible not to use scientific terms or anything that will throw off anyone, but it's this simple. The Versa Scouts are the respondents, and they also get requests. Respondents
Okay.
meaning they would receive text surveys, right, asked by the brands that match their target demographic, right?
Okay.
Once they get those questions, they earn credits that they can cash out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty. I think everybody here understands cash
So they
out.
make money.
That one is the one that makes a lot of sense. But obviously, we try to incentivize people who are doing the right thing. Honesty is currency, and we are, hoping that they are, answering questions honestly and consistently to remain on the platform, because we sometimes have people who give wrong information that can get blacklisted. So we try to keep it very quality, and that way, not only are you being actively part of research in Africa and helping brands, and at the same time being empowered as a everyday African consumer. It's a very win-win situation, right? So do the right thing, answer questions, you get microcredits that you can cash out eventually. The way we've basically structured it is such that we've used all our statistics and all the back-end complex stuff that we do to make it such that at every sort of level that we allow people ask questions, there's a good sample size that they can always reach at every point. So as we expand the Versus Scouts respondents to different markets, we're employing the same simple strategy that they can also be.
I'm going to call them out. I've gone from Spectronet to Glow, and now this is MTN. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I was going to say that it wasn't me, or it was the popular vote. It was not me.
So let's see. Let us see whether it works, because this is MTN now. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I'm sorry, guys. I hope the people who were with us the last time can join in. We had basically gone through almost everything. We went from describing Versus to talking about why it's different from other products in the market. And now I think we're on, we already described how it works with the Versus Ask and Versus Listens. So now we're talking about the Versus Scouts, right? And I told you that one of the things I know might be a problem for most people is trying to understand or gauge if all the target markets are represented. I mean, the target markets of different brands are represented in your Versus Scouts. So I think that's where we were. If you can quickly wrap up with that so that we can answer questions. Yeah.
I think as far as the market data is concerned, we know that the way we actually decided on the product market fit and what we felt was the standard solution that would basically work across the board was looking at the data, right? We know for sure, like for instance, in Nigeria, there's over 100 million people that have mobile and data, right? There's clearly now a larger number of people by virtue of more affordable phones made by Infinix, Samsung, Techno, those guys. So now there's a larger sample to capture as a result because of that mobile data. So it was on that premise we moved with the trend. We didn't start trying to target people that are using, you know, remember those phones that you the rotary phones from the 80s. We said no, let's move forward. I'm obviously kidding. I'm just I'm exaggerating, but the point is that it's always important to move with the trend. So we built the Scouts program on the basis of having access from phone, in this case the app, and also we're going to be releasing a web application as well, meaning that because if you have internet, you have a phone, you can literally just go on there, answer questions, same thing. So the web application will be launching on a more mass scale, you know, very soon. And we wanted to make sure that the first layer of people we brought on, you know, we're doing all the right things, and you know, we have a system that we can, you know, we can safely say is reputable, because you know the thing about data is that you can have 1 million people, but if the 50% of those 1 million people are lying and are not giving good information, you have to discard it. It's not relevant. So the premise of what we're doing is quality first.
Okay. Great. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about Versus Scouts in the Versus platform. So if you don't understand it, Versus Scouts are the respondents, they're the people, random, ordinary people scattered across Africa that answer questions when you ask. So if you're a brand or you're a marketing executive and you want to target, you have a certain people that you want to set age group or demographic that you want to target, you come to Versus, and Versus Scouts Versus has a pool of scouts from different age groups, psychography and whatever. So there's a way it is arranged on the platform that you can easily pick out the people you want to target and then ask them the questions you want to ask them. The beautiful thing about Versus is that everybody wins. The brands, they get the answers to their questions, and the Versus Scouts, they also make money when they answer these questions. And so they know for a fact that they have to answer the questions honestly so that they don't get kicked out of it, because Versus, you can see Kemdi with this big grammar, you know that he's not here to play. You know that when you hear this kind of big grammar,
you know what? Because of this, I'm going to speak pidgin for the rest of this live. I'm going to speak pidgin for the rest of this live.
Okay, so basically that's it about the Scouts in a nutshell. So you don't have to be afraid. And the good thing about it also is that Versus, they are very, very open. They're ready to listen. So if you have any questions concerning your target market, or you can just hit them up and they'll give you guidance on how to go about it. So yeah, you have anything?
There was one thing actually.
Okay.
One of my team members poked me to say that there was a question that came up about why the name Versus. So I wanted to make sure that I addressed it. So so first off, with name, it's really, you know, for us, it was about giving people the competitive edge, right? Hence Versus Africa. When we, as the name grew on us very early in the days when we were even still drawing up our white papers and designing what we thought would be the product ideally we want to create. So Versus really just kind of, you know, emulates what we're trying to show off, which is the fact that if you're using it, you always have that competitive edge to know what's going on. be at the top of the best, hopefully the best information to now make more intelligent decisions on the business. And yes, I'll make sure that my good friend Meg Digitals was the one that asked that question. I hope I didn't blow Graham. I hope it helps anyway, but that's why we called it Versus. And you know, I think at the time it just really resonated with us in terms of the meaning and the simplicity of how we're trying to convey, you know, the offering. So.
Okay, so how many countries do we have Versus now? How many countries are you operating right now?
So thankfully, by virtue of the internet, while worldwide, you can access the platform wherever you are. But I guess you're now kind of referring to the service itself. If you want to start listening to conversations across different, you know, platforms and all of that, you can do it today. You know, so that's available. As far as the scouts and how we're obviously, because that's a very key part of our component of the product and the service. So we currently have scouts primarily in Nigeria, and we're also we have an initial base in Kenya as well, which we're also building into the tools so that people can also have direct access to them. But some brands are already reaching out to them. And then the idea is that we want to scale the scouts effort to key markets as we scale up. Obviously, this is where if you're a startup and you're familiar with investing and how you then, you know, the financing is what that helps you, you know, scale faster. But thankfully, you know, we're doing that organically and gradually. And like I said, you know, we've been very fortunate, like a good doctor's office, you know, where we have medicine available, people are coming to us. So we're hoping that we now, you know, up the ante with our marketing, and hopefully we have especially great people like you who is doing such a wonderful job in educating people on what to do, and maybe they don't even know that, you know, market research is important, and you're telling them, you know, what to do, and that's very important. So even for platforms like this, you know, we thank you, Linda, because you're doing our job for us, where we can hopefully you can give them the best interpretation without so much grammar.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so one question before the last one. With the way Nigeria is, you can see how many times we've switched to internet today. So many hiccups, there are lots of social, economic, political problems, issues that try to truncate the growth of businesses in Nigeria, especially when it comes to technology. You know, most Africans are very skeptical about technology based in Nigeria, or, you know, that originated from Nigeria, because of this mentality that we have that Nigerian products are, you won't blame this, because of the environmental issues and so many other issues we have. So I just want to know what you have put in place to ensure that Versus is here for the long haul and is here to deliver effectively at all times.
Great question. So as a business, we had to think about the infrastructure we're building, and we have a data infrastructure that we had to build. About 14 months it took us to build this current iteration of the product we have. And the first thing is, where are you going to get, if you're building a property today, let's just even use plain analogy of you're building a house today. Where are you importing your supplies? Are you importing it from trusted vendors outside, or do you have suppliers who actually know and have quality locally? Now, we all know that local cloud servers cannot do, or basically, you know, essentially help sustain such types of businesses like ours. So we're leveraging Google, the Google Cloud Platform, for instance, for running all of Versus, and we work very closely with Google, and we have really like trusted, you know, partners that we've actually built relationships with. Unfortunately, they are not all local, because again, if you're looking at quality, you have to look at people who are tested, trusted. So we have partners from Stripe. We're directly connected to Twitter. We're one of their enterprise partners, and have access to their unfettered data. So that helps us to remain at, you know, at the integrity base of how we're collecting data. We obviously have other partners from even, like our payment gateway and all the other ways that we're able to now bring this solution together. So again, those relationships help a lot, because when you have those right components that are tested and trusted, it now almost, alleviates, in this case, the problem or the risk of using, what may be untrusted, or, because unfortunately our local ecosystem does not have any options that we can leverage to even to some degree lower the cost even for the business, right? So these are opportunities that, hopefully, as we're building the basic infrastructure to improve internet and some of these things that we know we're dealing with every day, electricity, which is the most basic thing, right? It would help us to ensure that we have systems that we can trust. We hopefully can have Google's created in, the Africa or in Nigeria for starters, since we're here, that can help businesses plug in, reduce the cost of their operations so that they can maximize their profit margins, do business, make money, but, unfortunately, like I said, we still have a ways to go, but we're thankfully leveraging some of the trusted global tools that every other competitor of ours probably uses as well. And one thing I have to say is this: I don't want us to underestimate African makers, actually. There's so many innovators that we've met in our journey, right? They may or may not have been as fortunate as us to get to this level, because people are not also seeing that they actually know what they're doing, and they don't have that sort of exposure because maybe they are being drowned out by the fintechs. But there are so many of them. And the difference between, it's not really about the products they build are actually also built the same way at the same level as other global like there's no real difference. If you think about it, even the software engineers and the people in technical sort of space and industry, they are being poached by these international companies for a reason, right? Because software is actually, it's intellectual property. So they know what they're doing, they build, and of course, that's really the I think let's just take away the mystique of you see, no light. Electricity. This is what we're saying. Well, I love when organically all these things happen so that you can see what we're talking about. Nigeria, we need to fix our issues. So anyways, the point is that we have, really good, we have actual great makers, and they're leveraging the same tools that would keep, products at that sort of level where they are recognized as the best. We can do it, and I don't want it to seem like it has to be. And that's one thing that I think, people need to know, that these same guys who offer what they're doing. I mean, we remember Twitter and when it actually broke down. Do you remember that? When there was actually lights out. It happens, right? Like nobody is different in, humans make mistakes, but I guarantee you that if you look at their software engineering desk, you find at least 40% of them that are either from Africa, Nigeria, or like one of these countries that, they probably leverage, even India, right? They always go into the emerging because there's a lot of great talent. So again, I think
about that.
Yes. So product really starts with who are the people building it, what are they using, what infrastructure are they leveraging? And if it's not local because we have infrastructure issues, I mean, you're fine. They're building the same thing, probably even sometimes better. Look at Paystack. Like, great example. Probably one of the best products built, period. Like, wherever they are from, they are makers. That's why they're successful. That's why they exited. So, yeah.
Great. So it just happens to me too, the light thing.
You see, happy Friday, oh Nigeria, happy Friday.
Oh my God, oh my God. Anyway, I saw a question from someone saying, where can I find true love? Probably, maybe he was just joking, but he can actually get the answer from Versus, right? You can use Versus for anything. Yeah, so who asked that? I think also something, just go to Versus, pay for the service, and then you can ask questions. You just ask them questions, because thankfully Versus is all over Africa. So we have South and Kenya and everywhere. So just ask them, where can I find true love? you get your answer, and hopefully in Nigeria. If it's not, you travel to Kenya.
I
So
don't know if
yes,
that question will, I don't know if that question will pass the vetting we will do before it goes out
it
to our
should go.
scout. But
Yeah, all right, so I was just joking. Versus is basically for businesses, for brands, to gather insights to help them
yes.
win in the African market. So anything need to know about what to make your business grow in Africa, with Versus, you are 100% covered. I think we've basically covered everything, Okendi. Only one more thing I have to ask you now. And if you have any questions, guys, please let's know now, because we're going to be ending this soon. So if you have any questions, please leave them below so that we can quickly answer them. Kemdi, what would you say is the major success story that you have? Tell us about your. So far, I think Versus is about 2 or 3 years old, right?
Yes,
How many years
yes.
old? Yeah. So what would
About two
you?
and a half
Yeah.
post our venture, yes, our venture round,
And you
yes.
guys have been doing so well in these 2.5 years. Yeah, so
Thank
it's
you.
been amazing.
Thank
So,
you.
but I just wanted to tell us about your success story. Let's hear some of the things that you are so proud to have accomplished within this short period of time.
I think I have to credit the first of all, I have to actually shout out our entire team, from those that have started the journey when we did and up until where we are now. Everybody has been equally invested in securing this vision, because it's a selfless vision we have. If you think about it, we're trying to serve a very huge problem in the African economy that maybe a lot of people are seeing that it's too, high of a task. Maybe it's too
Yeah.
Herculean, meaning that it's too high, right? And we decided that we are going to stay, very stubborn to the goal. And I think I always use this analogy because I think it's the best one, because you see, we weren't really looking. Success is by virtue of, just really keeping to your lane and trying to continue to do what you are poised to do, or you decided to do from the very beginning. And we have not really tried to go into any other lane that doesn't fit our own. And that's why I think we've organically been able to have the right partners. We've gotten so many great, like endorsements. Recently, we had a huge one from a huge sports club, Arsenal, and so many more, like, who have just been opening up and giving us like really good feedback and openly, publicly, telling people about what we're doing. It's not an easy road. I will be very honest. It's very difficult when you decide to do something that is innovative and different, but solving a big problem, right? Because when you're even going in front of investors, some of them will ask you, what are you even doing? Why don't you just go and do fintech? Just like, stop this. Get a business model, remodel it, stop doing all this innovation, right? And here we are, and like you said, 2.5 years later, the story is about survival at this point. Even with the downturn, we're seeing such a big opportunity to even help more companies to see what maybe we're seeing, or even be able to give them insight so that they can actually navigate these uncertain times better and make better decisions. So I think our success is, again, I think it's a testament to the team, the persistent, just everybody just being very aligned with the selfless goal to help everybody, to help the brands, and empower the consumers. So that's what has really resonated, if I'm being honest. Like, I think it's the values that we have that has been what has helped us get even to this point, and we hope that we continue to fulfill our vision, and we continue to grow, expand, and continue to do it across Africa, like we set out to do.
Okay, great. I think you've answered all my questions, and I'm not sure if we have any pending questions from the audience. So thank you very much, Kemdi. Do you have any other thing you'd like to add before we call it a day?
Well, I think I'll definitely put it out there. We've said that anyone who's been with us through the unfortunate, I know we've been a bit epileptic with the internet and all that, but anyone who has been on this live and has access to this information we're about to share, we're very much building, and not building, but we're creating a special discount for Live with Linda.
Oh yes. Let it come from my mouth, okay?
No, it didn't, which is good. So at least you can,
Yes.
if you can, we're giving you that access code, and for anybody who DMs Live with Linda and they need access at a discount, she will provide you that exclusive access. And that's just our own way of also showing gratitude for just being supportive and obviously, helping us amplify this message of what we have. And we hope that we can be of value to everybody who comes to us. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you. Great. So once again, I'm so sorry, guys, for the epileptic network. It's not my fault, but I'm still sorry. So far, MTN has been the best. See, that am I lying? So I'm going to do a special post on this thing. I'm going to do a special post on it, referencing your information or the insights you gathered on the best network in Nigeria. I'm going to do that later. But that aside, I'm so sorry, guys, for all the hiccups. Finally, we've come to the end of this live session. I hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you who are just joining us, I'm going to compile the videos together because we've been on for since 4 o'clock. So I'm going to compile the videos together and put them online so that you can go through everything and learn about Versus and why it is important that you use this very important tool. Okay, so thank you guys so much for joining. You heard what Kemdi said. If anybody is going to use Versus from now on, just hit me up via DM. I'll give you a code, and with that you can get a discount. Right, so you will have access to this amazing tool at a much more reduced price. So thank you very much, Kemdi, for your time. Yes.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate everything, and thank you so much for the audience, and looking forward to hopefully talking more.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully then you would have learned to speak small grammar and not big ones. Okay.
Next time, I'll you tell me if I should just do the whole thing in pidgin. I'll do it.
In pidgin. All right, Kemdi.
Thank you so much. It's been fun. Thank you. Happy
Bye,
Friday,
guys.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.